how to create a company from nothing, build an ecosystem structure, and become a magnet of incredible value. So what's the value of becoming number one in something and not losing your position? Don't force the buyer to pick the product. That's going to be a subconscious mental burden on them. They have to think, do I trust this guy? Do I like the products? Do I like this company? Make it easy on them. Build the trust first.
It's really listening to your audience, listening to what the market is telling you, and then acting accordingly. It sounds so simple, and it is quite simple, but we make it, and so many people make it so complicated. They're over here thinking about this, and this, but they're not listening to what's coming in over here. And then they miss the sales call, hooking a sale because they're not listening to what the client wants. Good afternoon, everyone. So today's guest has trained thousands of salespeople, built repeatable closing systems, and turned conversations into predictable outcomes. He's seen what works, what breaks, and what most founders get completely wrong when they try to scale revenue. And this conversation is about closing, not scripts, not hype, but systems, judgment, and decision-making in the real world. Mark Gambale, CEO of Close with One. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And it's so funny. Your name and my name, people might not know how to say it. So I always say it's Gambale. Think Da Vinci. And so many times growing up, it was Gamble. Like, what's your name? When you get someone's name great, all of a sudden the rest of it flows.
I love that. So where does that originate from?
This name is Italian, and it means dancing legs. And it's appropriate because in life, we're going along with the tempo. If people are dancing and they're happy and they're celebrating, it's a party. And when somebody joins a sales call, maybe they're joining to solve something that didn't go so well, but they're going to tell you, hey, what's going to get them dancing and happy again?
So it's the tapestry of your work as well. Your name is intertwined with how you operate in the world.
Yes.
I love that. That's awesome. So listen, it's great to have you here. Before we dive in, for anyone meeting you for the first time, who are you? What problem do you solve with Close with One to help people?
First and foremost, I'm not a sales guy. I'm like a anthropologist of sorts. Like, imagine Indiana Jones coming to a situation with, where is the gift? Where is the artifact that needs to be discovered and preserved? I'm a former analyst covering Apple and Amazon and a product manager. And when I started off my career, it was the job posting that I saw said software hardware analyst for a company called Gartner. And that was to be a chip analyst. Imagine seeing a product manager job at Grok for a analyst or a product manager to become the next chip product manager. And I saw this as an analyst, and it said MBA candidates only. I'm like, oh no, I'm an undergrad. Write the best cover letter, get into the room, and hope that they don't see that piece. As soon as the interview happens, they're like, wait a minute. I like your experience, but you're not an MBA. We're going to have to end this now. And I'm like, well, wait. Why did you create this job? What do you want this person to do? Day one. And they're like, we need somebody to do this, this, and that. I'm like, okay. I worked in banking as a research analyst, and I worked at NEC Technologies looking at their hardware and their chips and their software. And they asked me to handle these issues for them. I handled them, and now I'm here. It sounds like you need somebody that can do this. I have way more experience than your MBA candidate title, because I've been doing the work of market research in tech. What's the value of getting started? And when would you like to start? And they're like, wow, it sounds like you really want this. Let's get going. So I
Wow.
became a software analyst for them, hardware analyst, and the craziest stuff happened. IBM and Microsoft and Apple were our clients, and they would ask tough questions. We didn't have the answers, and I had to find the answers and research it and go, let's check out our database, look for all the insights. And this is pre-AI. Gartner and companies like those have the answers in their database, but you kind of have to find the data, massage it, and then go out and ask. And Apple asked the question, who's doing ecosystem as a service, device as a service, internet as a service? Who's thinking in that direction? Because we want to win in that space. And nobody was there. So I had to ask the whole industry, put together a report, and gave it to Apple. And this predates the iPhone and the iOS platform. And when my boss, Amy, who gave me Apple to cover when she was taking her 2-week honeymoon and came back, she had said, wow, Apple says anytime you go on another week vacation, Amy, we want Mark again if we can have him assigned. And I'm thinking, wow, I didn't have my head chopped off for the student that didn't know anything about anything. Sales is like that. If you get really curious about what the other person needs, they're going to take an interest in you because you took a really big interest in them. And that, some big lessons learned of what it takes to actually build real trust and rapport. But man, I had an epic fail with Jeff Bezos. I don't know if I told you that story.
Please tell us. It sounds phenomenal.
Oh, it's embarrassing because I was an analyst for e-commerce at a second company. And I was in Branson, Missouri, opening a business for a business partner. And he said, Mark, go out there, open the business. I want you to be the manager. I said, great. Branson, Missouri? What's out there? It was the middle of the country. But as I got that business profitable, everyone was saying, Amazon's already gone public. Internet's taking off. And I realized the magnet to go back to Boston, where I grew up, was so strong I had to get involved. And I found a company called Gomez Advisors. And they were a competitor to Forrester Research, IDC, and Gartner for the #1 tech research companies in the world. So the job is to become an e-commerce analyst for consumer electronics, online music, and auctions. And my job was to study all the companies in that space and publish a report that says these are the top places to go if you want to buy consumer electronics, music, or auctions. And I had to write this report for why would you go to Best Buy versus Amazon versus Crutchfield as an example. And my report, when I published it, said Amazon was number 5 on the list, not number 1. And Jeff Bezos and his team sees this analyst report from this no-name company at the time, and they're like, we want to meet this guy. So they call Julio, and Julio goes to Jill. Jill's my boss, and she taps me on the shoulder. She's like, hey, good job. We got invited to go meet with Amazon. I'm going to go with you because I want to sell all our research reports. So you have to explain how you got to the number. And then I'll be there to try to sell our services. All the rest of the analysts in the office are like, oh my God, Mark gets to go. And the agenda says meet with the directors of customer service, warehouse, internet, all the people that run Amazon. And at the end of the day, it lists Jeff Bezos for dinner. And I'm like, woo, this is great. Little did I know that he wasn't going to show for dinner. But I'm sitting there. I already opened up the menu with Jill on the waterfront. I'm going to order not the burger or the chowder as a Boston guy. I'm going to order the professional Chinook salmon from somewhere in Alaska. And I'm starving at this point, Dylan. Looking at my watch. Oh, he's 5 minutes late. No problem. Future billionaire. Trillionaire at this point, almost. 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. And I walk up to the front of the restaurant. I said, hey, I'm Mark Gambale. When Jeff Bezos comes in, send him over there. And she looks at me and she's like, I'm so sorry. He wants you to know that he cannot make it to dinner tonight, but you can still have dinner. He's going to cover it, and that's it. I didn't realize that I was about to walk into the biggest mine and sales failure. I should have immediately gone to Jill and said, Jill, who booked this meeting with Jeff? Give me their email or their phone number, and immediately message them and say, Mark's not flying back to Boston tonight on the red eye. He's already rebooked. He's available tomorrow for Jeff at 10 or 2. And he's got a question for Jeff about the future of the company and one personal insight that he's saved for you. What's better for Jeff? No, I didn't do that. I go back to the table and I said, Jill, he's not coming. And I just dropped the whole thing. But the next day, I get a phone call from a Seattle area code. I'm like, oh, perfect. Hello, Jeff? It's not Jeff. It's a college friend named Nate from Babson. And Nate's like, why'd you call me Jeff? I said, well, I thought you were Jeff Bezos. Because it was a Seattle area code. He's like, no, man, that's me. I moved out and I work at the company now. And I'm in customer service. I said, oh my gosh, I just met with this person who runs customer service. He's like, wow, that was my boss's boss's boss. That's pretty intense. What was that meeting like? And still, I didn't take the cue to think about this person's in my pipeline. His name is Jeff Bezos. I could meet with him again. I had dinner, but no. I didn't do the follow-through piece. I really should have booked the second meeting when I was in that meeting for dinner, where it happens. How many times do people not show up to a Zoom call because life happens?
Yeah.
I am a divorced man who remarried. Guess what? He is too.
Mm.
Life could have happened for him at home, and he just couldn't make it.
Mm.
That's a connection point. One day, when one of the companies that I coach gets invited to become part of the Amazon ecosystem, I would love it if that CEO says, hey, you want to meet Mark this time for dinner for real? Let's meet on the yacht and sign the deal. Like, life happens. How many times do we really have things happen as expected?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow, what a story, huh? So the key, well, you learn a lesson, right? It's all in the follow-up.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing else, and you had the story to tell.
Yes, story to tell. I have nothing against Jeff. I think he's a fantastic business person who has so many examples for us to learn from to how to create a company from nothing, build an ecosystem structure, and become a magnet of incredible value. And he was laughed at for years. Why is this company not profitable yet? What are you doing? Why are you in books? What are you doing with music? Little did we know, he had this vision piece that was supported by an architecture. Today's architecture is now all AI with a backdrop of services and tech and other things. There's so many great lessons learned from what he's done, and people are making massive mistakes right now in AI, and they don't even know it.
They will know it soon. Soon enough they will know it, right? Soon enough they will know it. Did you think at that time when you were analyzing Amazon or you were looking at, assessing Bezos and such, that it would progress to where it is today?
No, because what we didn't know at that time was internet would become a backbone service for everything. It used to be that our services for everything was we had our phones to call people, and email was sort of a basic staple, but we didn't know that apps would become this thing. This all predates the iOS infrastructure. And funny story about Amazon, years later, after I had finished my divorce, I'm sitting at a bar in Colorado and commiserating with another guy, and my it was funny. It was weird. My divorce attorney was actually the musician playing at the pub, and he's just doing music. And I just said, you know what? I'll go and see what it's like. You got me through a jam. I'll support you. The guy at the pub said he used to work at Amazon with Jeff Bezos, and he was sharing some stories. And he's like, do you know that Amazon Web Services was not an intentional strategy for them? It was a fluke. And he said, we used to call it the carpet remnants. I'm like, what do you mean carpet remnants? He's like, at the end of the shopping season, everyone would go to all the servers and pull the off switch, the on-off switch, and shut the thing down because it was so dang expensive for all the electricity. And it got to a certain point where they're like, wow, these things are so expensive. They're on from January 2nd all the way to basically like October 28th or so, when they start turning them on and getting everything ready for commerce again. And they started to get these calls from researchers in Palo Alto and Irvine and all of the tech colleges. And the professors would say, we're calculating something and we're trying to crack the human genome. Can you turn your servers back on? We need your compute capacity. And they're thinking, you need our compute capacity. All right, fine. We'll turn it back on. As long as you cover the core electrical piece, we're good. That became Amazon Web Services, where they started to have to create an infrastructure, a bucket or a container. Here's the cost for the compute. Here's the cost for the electricity. And the researchers would say, hey, this has to be protected, has to be safe, has to be secure. Give us this infrastructure because we're doing things on the human genome and whatever else. We can't have some foreign entity come in here and crack our code and study what we're doing.
Right.
So Amazon Web Services went from carpet remnants, which I don't know if you've ever had somebody put a carpet in your house, there's always those leftover pieces. They roll those up. They hand them to you, and they go, hey, you have a massive party and somebody drops red wine everywhere. Use this piece to patch it in. Those remnants might be worth something someday to you. So hold on to this piece, shove it in the attic. Maybe one day it'll be useful. Well, who knew that Amazon Web Services would become so useful?
Yeah, the backbone for sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of experience and a lot of twists and turns in the tapestry of your career. So, to date, you've been around for a while. You've seen a lot, which is incredible. So you've seen trends come and go. What experiences, apart from the follow-up, what experiences most shape how you think about closing today?
As a product manager, I saw a completely different world of sales and marketing and development. Now, after being an analyst at Gomez, when the dot-com boom busted, I was 2 days away from becoming a millionaire. I was employee like 15 or 20 at Gomez. I had issued shares, and we were about to go public on Monday morning by Goldman Sachs, was leading the offering on the exchange. So I'm like, this is great. I already know what house I'm going to buy. Everything's going to be fantastic. I'll pay off my student debt. Things will be great. But that market crumble, when that hit, sucked all of these dot-coms that weren't profitable into this vortex because they thought they had enough cash to last long enough and make it up in volume. Any business that's running this strategy of we're going to make it up in volume and we're not profitable, they have to know how long that runway lasts and take off before it runs out. And I was part of the second round of layoffs at Gomez. They had bought this massive building and decided we're going to build all this out and we're going to become a landlord to a bunch of dot-coms. When that bubble burst, they were like, oh crap, we have a massive building and we're the only ones in it. This doesn't last. So I got laid off and I finished my MBA at Babson in Boston, the #1 business school in America 28 or 29 years running for entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow.
So as I'm finishing my MBA, I see a job posting for a product manager at a med tech company. And at this med tech company, they said, and this is like just like the Gomez thing, the job was an assistant or an associate product manager, and one of their requirements was, and it said, ideal if you're a male nurse, if you have any medical experience, doctor, nurse, whatever. As they're interviewing me, they said, we'd really like you to be a male nurse. Are you considering, would you enroll to nursing school, or do you have any clinical experience? I said, no. I don't have time. I'm finishing my MBA. I'm not going to add another 3 or 4 years on top of that. And I said, hang on, what's important here? And they said, well, we used to be number one in all of these markets. We invented all these technologies, but we lost our focus. Competitors came in, stole it, and took it away. I said, okay, well, so what's the value of becoming number one in something and not losing your position? And they said, this is immense. So they hired me as an associate product manager, and I didn't realize that being really good at sales meant you have to be really good at product management. And I had only been an analyst. And they said, hey, here's your products, but you get 0 devs. You get 0 engineers. No front end, back end, no software people, no developers. You're on your own. Each product manager, their job was to go to the CEO and do a live pitch and say, hey, the market needs this. If you build it this way, we're going to make millions of dollars. So I didn't know as a product manager I was learning sales, because I had 5 other competitors as product managers that would walk into the CEO and go, remember that project we did before? Look at the revenue we hit. Here's my next project. So they had success as closers already, as product people. And I would study them and go, oh man, these guys are good. They have a track record. I have 0 track record, and all my products are fine. Meaning that they were keeping the lights on in the business. My products were the commodities that were high volume, that were not differentiated. So they said, no engineers for you, until one of them, a component of them, became illegal to sell. It was a latex component that went around a strap that went in something called a bite block. In America, they have this standard where if you hit 50, you get a colonoscopy. They're like, you're going to give you a colonoscopy and we're going to search for colon cancer. Well, at the same time, they also go, if you've got any stomach issues, we're going to give you an upper scope as well. And they would have to use a bite block so that the doctor's $60,000, $100,000 endoscope doesn't get bitten through by the patient when they do the work. So my product all of a sudden had a component called latex, which all the hospital systems said they would stop buying because of that allergy component. So I bring this to Ron, the CEO, and Ron said, no, Mark, you're wrong. I'm not going to give you any engineers. We will keep our 90% market share. That's BS. They're just complaining. And I said to him, the market complains, and when it complains, you lose sales. So are you going to bet our 90% revenue on the market being wrong? This isn't Mark Gambale speaking. This is the market. And he's like, oh man, I don't know, if we lose our 90% share, that's multiple millions of dollars, and all these lights that are on are going to go off. And I realized that in sales, you have to speak the truth of what somebody really cares about. Unless you ask them, why are you here today on the sales call? You could have met with 10 other or 50 other salespeople. Why did you pick me? When you give somebody the mic, Dylan, and they're on the call and they get a chance to go, the only reason I joined today's call is I'm having a problem with this. Can you help me? What's your experience with that? Most of the time, in a SaaS B2B high-ticket sales call, the first thing the sales rep says is, hey, how's the weather in Cleveland today? Better luck next year for the Browns. And then they go, let me show you my slides. that shuts off the number one reason that person joined the call. And I told you when I first met you, I already trusted you because of the way you handle conversations. If that weren't the case, you and I wouldn't be talking now. So the way you manage your mic, knowing when to have it on, knowing when to have it off.
Yeah. Wow. So it's really listening to your audience, listening to what the market is telling you, and then acting accordingly, right? It sounds so simple, and it is quite simple, but we make it, and so many people make it so complicated, right? They're over here thinking about this, this, and this, but they're not listening to what's coming in over here. And then they miss the sales call. They miss the set. It's so they miss hooking a sale because they're not listening to what the client wants.
And how does the client feel when the other person goes on talking and doesn't listen? Subconsciously, what are they thinking?
They don't care. They're not listening. I feel unheard.
How do you feel about trusting someone that doesn't listen to you?
Not going to happen.
So what happens to that person in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, they just fade. They're gone.
They absolutely fade. When you do this so well, you don't even need a pipeline.
Interesting. Wow. It's true, but that does make sense, right? And it's really, really, it's a skill to listen. It's a skill to like be present and to, you know, listen to what's being told to you, but then also like navigate that and sort of be flexible to adapting to that so that you get what the client wants, right? Know your client, understand what they want, respond to what they want as opposed to what you think they want.
It's really hard to do. I didn't learn this for a number of years, and it wasn't until I studied a lot of sales reps as a product manager. So product managers sit in their freaking cozy office all day long, typing stuff up and joining meetings. They have no clue what the market needs. And I had a regional sales manager of the Midwest named Adam say, "Hey, Mark, there's a chance for you to come out into the market and do ride-alongs with my team, with my reps, and meet with doctors. But I'm not going to let you come anywhere near my reps and my doctors unless you follow the number one rule." I'm like, "Adam, what's the number one rule?" He's like, "Man, if you ask a question, this has to be the best question ever that's not going to embarrass you or me. Because if you do this wrong, we're never going to get back into that hospital suite in the OR, in the GI lab, because you'll embarrass us. Because there's a line outside of these hospital suites with reps from different companies. And the doctor looks out into the room and they point to who they like, who they trust, and they let them in. All the other reps have to sit out there. It's kind of a game of musical chairs. If you're not trusted, you don't get in the room." And he's like, "Mark, when you're in the room, I need to be sure that question you ask that doctor has to be so good, they're going to turn and look at you and go, 'Whoa, great question.' In my practice, I struggle with this. When I see these other things, I do that. And here's kind of my standard. The doctor's building rapport with you, and then they might ask you a question. You might ask them another question. All of a sudden, as they're doing the work on the patient to look for cancer that's hidden and solve problems of bleeding and other crazy diseases, you're talking shop with this doctor. And they're going, 'This guy knows what he's talking about, this product manager.' Once they get to a level of comfort, they're going to go, 'Hey, what do you have in this area? What do you recommend we do here? And now they're asking you that subconsciously. A doctor's really not going to ask for clinical advice. They're going to ask for products and solutions. So that's a chance in a sales call. You want your buyer to ask you, what do you have in this area? Do you have any products or programs in this space? Don't offer your pricing then. They're still trying to understand the solutions that you have and whether they're relevant for them or not. I was shocked at an industry conference where I ran the keynotes and did all of the thought leadership stuff in front of the sales team, which they started to ask me, Mark, you run the annual sales meeting, bring all the speakers in. And I thought, wow, I don't want to speak the whole time. Let me bring in trusted people. So I brought in some purchase managers and some IT buyers for big tech budgets, and they were 500K to $1 million or more in purchasing capacity. And I lined them all up in front of the sales team in a round table, gave them all mics, and I said, sales team, you get to ask these people anything that you want. Go ahead and ask. And one of them, Dan, says, hey, how do you guys feel when we give you these pitches and all these brochures and all this stuff? What are we missing? What else could we send you to convince you to buy from us? Larry, one of the guys, says, man, you don't know the rules. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, we only believe 10% of that crap you tell us and you give us. The rest of it is garbage to us. And all the reps are like, oh, it's garbage? Why don't you believe us? It's beautiful. It's well edited. We wrote all those case studies. You wouldn't believe the hours that we spent and all the work. Larry's like, hey, let me tell you who I do trust. I trust your customers. Connect me with one of your customers. I'll have my own man-to-man conversation and ask that person, what was it like hiring them? Why did you hire them? What do they like to work with? Would you hire them again? Those 3 questions, if those don't pan out well, you're not getting the order. The trust comes from buyer to buyer, not sales rep to buyer, unless you follow a formula that I learned by studying and training sales reps how to get to President's Club. I wanted to get to President's Club as a product manager because it means you become product manager of the year and you get paid out your commission like a sales rep. But if you're not good as a product manager, you get 0 devs, 0 engineers, you don't get paid out your bonus, and you don't move up as a product manager. So I'm like, wow, product manager is a game of sales, which means I need to be good as an analyst, a product manager, a leader of the devs, great at sales training. And when I run national sales meetings and conferences, if what I say at the mic isn't helpful and doesn't move the dollars and doesn't help people get to the revenue number in less than a year, I'm doing a bad job as a product guy.
Absolutely. So trust, I'm hearing all the way through this conversation, is the fundamental benchmark. So, to people watching, they go in cold to meeting someone new. What's one thing you would say to them? How would you build trust to someone completely cold?
It comes back to the questions. Start off with asking really great questions and not wasting time on, here's my long pitch and demo. I'm going to throw a lot of spaghetti at you and I hope something's going to hit. Don't force the buyer to pick the product. That's going to be a subconscious mental burden on them. They have to think, do I trust this guy? Do I like the products? Do I like this company? Make it easy on them. Build the trust first.
So effectively, you sort of want to get them talking. You want to get them, explaining what their issues and problems are from their perspective. Find out from them, listen to them, and then from that distill according to what you have that could potentially solve for those problems.
Yes.
Base case to starting to build trust, which effectively comes down to just listening.
Just listening. I started a digital marketing agency in 2020. I had finished my divorce and I started all over in life, and I had nothing. Absolutely nothing. I had lost my 4 kids, lost my house, lost the greatest job that I ever thought I was ever going to have. I was in line to be CEO of a big tech company, and the CEO of the company was grooming me to replace him. I'm like, this is awesome. Everything's fantastic. Well, I had to handle the family matters and end and start over. And all I had at the beginning of the pandemic was, you have a digital marketing agency. Now remember, you couldn't see people. You couldn't go into offices. Everyone stopped being in offices. All students in school were in Zoom classes, and no one was hiring at that point. Everything was freak out mode. And as I'm starting my digital marketing agency, I came across a prospect named Stacy. And I met her in a mastermind group. And I'm like, Mark, don't mess this up. Write the most beautiful PowerPoint presentation in the world. She's going to love it. So I'm creating all the most beautiful slides, bragging about my degree and all the product manager stuff that I've done, all the digital things that we could do, the size of the team. And then about 30 seconds before the call, I'm like, this is all BS. What if she doesn't care about this? What if it doesn't matter? Oh, it doesn't matter. And I completely stopped everything. And I made one slide which asked one question. And I asked her that one question, and that made the difference in the call.
Interesting.
A few minutes into it, she's like, wow, sharing all of these vignettes. She said to me, hey, I'm at a different point in my career. My goal for the year is $1 million in revenue for my personal take-home sales salary. I'm like, that's a great number. I said, what's the problem? She's like, well, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm only 80% there, and I think I'm going to fail at my goal. I'm like, really? What's the value of getting to that revenue number? If I could help you get there, what's the value? She's like, oh my gosh, I've been working toward this goal since 2014. I decided to no longer live from paycheck to paycheck anymore. I'm going to map my road to $1 million. And she's like, but I'm stuck. I can't get there. If you can help me get to that, I will hire you. Right there, she gave me a verbal. Okay, let's go. She became my biggest, most successful client, someone that became a friend, went to my wedding, and is someone that is one of the top performers in her market. An incredible person. And I learned from her and some of the great sales things she had done over the years of really managing your portfolio of clients and your pipeline in a way that you have a massive referral flow that comes to you from doing some diligent work. And it was a great partnership. We did so many wonderful things together, but I ended up realizing that the digital agency model as I knew it, as I was delivering it, was not genuine. I actually shut down that business after joining a business scaling initiative out of Miami. I spent a lot of money to join this private club and to be on the inner circle. And once I learned some of these inner circle secrets, I realized that digital agency that I was scaling to $1 million, I needed to end and start over from a new ground level up. And right at that point was the beginning of the AI revolution. And I got recruited to join an AI company out of San Francisco, out of the Valley. And again, I missed my chance to be a millionaire. They issued me, they're like, hey, here's some shares. If you join this company, it's going to be great. Here's your options. You're good to go. Right at the time of the signing, I missed the window of getting those options because a VC came in and must have written a check for 15 million or I don't know how many million. All the options were taken away and I missed the chance to own. I would have been paid out after a week of working there. It would have been like an IPO because I would have been able to go, wow, those shares were 50 cents and now they were bought by the VC at $20 each.
Wow.
That would have been a commission check ahead of time.
Wow.
And so I'm like, all right, another market timing issue. But I still joined the company. They're really profitable and they're in the banking industry and medtech, which I love because my background was fintech and medtech.
Mm.
The VCs do this really smart thing of injecting a lot of cash into the company to try to grow it. So they build the dev team and they triple the size of it. They triple the size of their booths and they write a big check to build this massive new website. And they hire this really great firm to build out the website and they start throwing ad money at it. So $500,000 goes to the website team to build this new website. This is common in the Valley. When the VC money flows, they're like, you got to build these sites. You got to build these channels and funnels and dev teams. They're throwing the money at you. If you don't spend it, you don't build something, that money's not going to be useful. So I'm watching the dev team grow, helping them make the site, and they're throwing $15K a month in ad spend in LinkedIn and trying to do the same thing on Google Ads. And I asked my boss, I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's the pipeline look like? He's like, oh man, it's busy, it's full, oh, it's getting really big. All these things are great. I'm an analyst first. Show me the numbers. I want to know how many, I want to know the value, and I want to know what's come in and closed from marketing qualified leads that's become sales qualified leads, that's become booked deals. He's like, oh man, Mark, that number's actually zero. I'm like, wait a minute. We threw all these millions of dollars into all this stuff and you're telling me we have zero? He's like, well, yeah, show me the leads. We had leads that said Mickey Mouse on them. And we had leads from other countries around the world which were like bogus leads and they just weren't real. I said, this sucks. What can we do? I'm going to lose my job and you're going to lose yours because we haven't figured out the sales and the marketing thing. He's like, well, I know that you were an analyst at Gartner doing software and all that technology. Can you be an analyst for AI? Can you speak to a room of over 300 people on the future of AI as it relates to fintech? I said, yeah, I'll do it. But you got to build me a landing page and something I call a maximum value sales funnel. Maximum value, not an MVP. I hate the word MVP for SaaS tech. It misses the whole point. Unless you create something that's like the iPhone, when Steve Jobs launched it, you're not going to create this long back order and you're not going to create this big sales funnel. At that conference, when I'm in the room, I see 19 other vendors, all AI, B2B, SaaS tech, fintech companies with the greatest customer engagement platform, UCaaS, CCaaS. These are all the terms that everyone cared about. I'm like, this sucks. Everyone's going to say the same dang AI story. We have the greatest AI. You should buy ours. I'm like, ah. About a minute before I get on the stage, I realized exactly what I needed to say to this audience. All the slides that I had crafted, remember the Stacy story? I repositioned all the messaging in my head of what I was going to say to everyone. I launched my 2 QR codes to the audience. I said some very specific words. Within 5 minutes, 100 people had gone in to my sales funnel, to my maximum value funnel. 100 leads went into HubSpot at the same time. And the CRO at the time says, holy blank, blank, blank. Who broke HubSpot? We spent 2 years building that stupid thing, building it all out. Now, HubSpot's not stupid, but what he was upset about is, I have 100 bogus leads all at once. The system must be broken, and now I have to pay a lot more money to fix a great tool. And then Zach, the back-end tech guy, said, no, no, no. These are real leads. They're coming from Las Vegas. We have Mark and Charlie on deck doing a live talk on our AI solution. These are real people. Holy crap, we made it. And later on, I spoke with Aaron, the sales guy. I said, Aaron, what was that worth? It was a 27-minute long talk. 100 people came through. What's it worth? He's like, man, I haven't talked to everybody. Don't get on stage again for a while. Please, we're going to have to hire a second rep to call all these people. So far, it's worth $1.67 million in SQLs, sales quoted deals.
No.
That was $60K a minute in SQLs that came through by crafting the message the right way.
Wow. And that's key, right? That's like reading the room, reorientating what you're to say based on reading that room well, and then delivering it succinctly to hit the mark, which which is a real skill, right? It's a real skill. So, I mean, there you go, right there. Like, the difference between a sales process that looks good on paper and one that survives reality. How would you encapsulate what that difference is? I mean, you did it there. If you were to replicate that or teach that, or what would it be that makes that difference?
First of all, I hope that none of this sounds like a brag, because I really don't like sales. I like studying salespeople and buyers and trying to find a way to build trust, like that archaeologist I talked about in the beginning, or the trust anthropologist. It comes down to becoming the chief listening officer in the room, not chief sales or closer. When you close with one, you're listening so well that you're building trust and asking awesome questions. When you do those two things together, that's when people gravitate to you, and you've created that one percenter effect. If there's 100 reps, you want to be the one that closes the deal. That's what Close with One is it teaches you how to become the 1%er, the one that the buyer says, that's the one. I want that person.
So how do you personally decide? How do you personally decide when to move fast or when to wait?
Give me an example. I need more detail in your question.
So you've just described there how you reorientated what you're going to say. You've read the room. You have in a very short space of time. You have your backdrop, you have your slides, you have everything ready, but then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need to read this slightly differently. What is it that's telling you to do something and not do the other?
When you tap into the moment of space and time of what the buyer cares about, you know whether you need to move faster or slower. And it's their time, and when you manage it so well, they trust you. And that's how you get the second call. I coach people how to close the deal in less time so the buyer just goes, wow, I trust you. Yeah. Some deals take 2 years to close. One of the biggest deals that I helped create, this partnership took a while to do. It now is worth about $100 million in revenue, but it wasn't closed as this snap of a finger. But when I met the guy that I signed the deal with, the handshake that I made with him and the promise that I made after I understood his number one question made him go, I trust this guy. It still took a while to go through. And government deals and big fintech and medtech deals and AI deals, you have to do everything right to get the second meeting to build enough trust. And it still might take months or even years to close, but unless you follow the right formula that matters to your buyer subconsciously, you're going to screw it up.
So staying present, listening, reflecting back to the buyer what they're saying, to build that trust, and playing the long game, right?
Yes. You heard it well.
I take that as a huge compliment, a huge compliment. So, if someone building, a sales team, a founder led team early on, what should they obsess over first with respect to selling?
Selling is really listening. If they don't have a professional coach that's helping them with this, they're going to waste a lot of time trying to figure stuff out. Building product that people don't want to buy. Trying to sell something that no one wants to buy. Marketing it. When you get a coach up front that helps you validate and know this is the wow, this is the thing that people will line up around the block for, that's a problem. We have three corners. Great product, like A-grade product, great sales, A-grade sales, and then great marketing. Most companies don't have all three together. So if you're a founder and you're trying to get to this theoretical scaling, unless you have a coach and a consultant or an expert that's going to show you where you're off and be honest with you and keep you accountable, you're probably just wasting a lot of time getting to the same point everyone else is, and you're going to be average, below average, and burning your cash. And how does it feel when your partner asks you, how's it going in the company? And you don't have anything to show for it. Find a coach that you trust. I've done that before. I've not regretted it. I love learning from experts. Special thanks to all the great sales, marketing, and leaders and mentors that have helped me get to where I am. And if you don't have a mentor or a coach, I encourage you, don't just buy a book. Don't just watch a video. Hire someone for one-on-one who's really going to tell you the truth about what you can do better. Because that third eye perspective of a trusted person, that's going to get you where you want to go. The greatest 1% closers and executives all have coaches.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's a running theme that I hear from many different sort of walks of lives, mentors, coaches, like you say, that third eye perspective is something that some of the greats in terms of evolving personal development, business development, is a huge dynamic to people who are good versus people who are great. Outside of obviously getting guidance and mentorship, which is absolutely, I think, fundamental. I certainly learned that as well myself, and I couldn't agree more with you. Getting coaching, getting mentoring, having someone to sort of vent and ask ideas and help ask for guidance on is absolutely critical. But outside of that, if you could leave listeners with one operating principle about closing, scaling, or leadership, what's the thing you know now that you'd wish you'd known earlier?
That there was a faster, better way of doing it by learning from others and opening yourself up to the idea that you can go back to college or go back to school and call it sales school and have a professional coach. And for everyone that's listening today, go ahead and message me. I can send you your copy of the new Close with One book. You'll get it at no cost. I want you to learn how to close with one, in that the buyer goes, I'll take a second call with you. I'll bring the CEO on the next call. Your time is so important to the world and to me. I want you to have this gift so that you're no longer just following up with people.
Amazing. So, I mean, on that note, Mark, where can people get hold of you? Where can they contact you? What's the best route to get through to Mark?
It's easy to find me. On LinkedIn, it's Close with One. And just go to closewithone.com and you'll see how to find me. And if you feel like you're ready and interested and you can be accountable to being coached, reach out. I help people that earnestly want the help.
That's amazing. So Close with One, that's the number one, CLOSEWITH, the number one.com. Most definitely, I think everyone listening to this, episode, please do go check out Mark. His work is excellent. And Mark, this was genuinely a very thoughtful and a very practical conversation for the audience and for me to learn from. So thank you very, very much for sharing your experience, your wisdom. It's been truly fascinating. So for all the listeners out there, closewithone.com. Please go check Mark out, and if this conversation resonated, please subscribe, and please do check out Mark Gambale at closewithone.com. Mark, really, really do appreciate your time and your wisdom. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dylan, for having me on the show. And also, everyone, check out what he's working on. I find it really impressive, and it's differentiated. And it's fun. How many things out there in the world of AI are fun and interesting? Go check them out.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Mark. That means a lot. Thank you. You take care.
You too.